What's going on, everyone? OG Anunoby. He is a tremendous wing for the Toronto Raptors. I mean, he's a guy that is 3-and-D. He's got size. He's got athleticism. He can do a little bit of everything. He can get you some buckets. He can guard some of the best guys in the league, which is always a benefit. But apparently, OG Anunoby wants out of the Toronto Raptors. Apparently, he is unhappy and unsatisfied with the situation at hand. That is what's being reported. And with the new emergence of Scottie Barnes, that is even more reason for why Toronto may be willing to move off of him, and also why he kind of wants to just be done, because Scottie Barnes seems to be sort of the future, the guy that has the potential, the younger guy, the guy that is kind of taking his minutes and taking his role. And with the possibility of OG Anunoby being traded by the Toronto Raptors, all of these speculations and trade rumors are circling right now. And so I wanted to talk about 4 of the big ones that people are throwing out there. Bleacher Report even covered it. Several other sports platforms have covered these trades. And then I want to add one that I think could make a lot of sense and actually has potential to develop that hasn't been mentioned, or at least I haven't seen it be mentioned. So let's get into the trades. So the first proposed trade that was thrown out there was a deal around the Portland Trailblazers. So Portland would be receiving OG Anunoby for Nazar Little and Keon Johnson, the number 7 pick, and a 2022 second round pick. So for the Portland Trailblazers, we saw them completely clean house and just keep Damian Lillard. And the idea is, okay, we're going to build a contender around Damian Lillard. We need to show improvement. We need to show that we're trying. You need to keep Lillard happy. Still only 31 years old, so there's still a lot left in the tank. He obviously had a rough year this year, had to have surgery, things like that. But in Portland's logic and thinking is you're going to get a guy in OG who is a great wing defender. You got a 3-and-D guy. You got a guy that can go and get you 20 plus a game. He can guard multiple positions. He's a big body. He's young. And now you have these 2 core pieces to really build around, right? You still have a ton of cap space. You can do a lot with these 2 players. You're in the process of trying to build a contender, not rebuild. So the number 7 pick isn't really useful at this time. Nazar Little and Keon Johnson, they could be great, but they're young prospects. So you're giving up, 3 young prospects, but you're going and getting a guy who is, a guy that can play at an all-star level that really helps Damian Lillard. That fills a huge need that we've seen has been so prominent in these playoffs. I mean, all the teams that had multiple big wings, multiple 3-and-D guys, they were the teams that went the farthest. They're the teams that are in the playoffs. I mean, look at the Celtics. Look at the Warriors. They have multiple guys, multiple size, especially Boston. They have a huge team. And so if Damian Lillard can get a sort of guy that can be the 2 or 3 option on the team, go and get you 20 plus a game, guard the best player on the other team, I think that is a huge benefit for Damian Lillard. And then from the, the side of the Toronto Raptors, it's like, okay, we're getting rid of OG. We need to get rid of him anyway. They're kind of in this weird stage where they're not rebuilding, but they're not really a contender yet. They're still really young. So if a Nazar Little or a Keon Johnson can kind of take that leap, take that step under the Toronto Raptors, development, then that's huge for them. We've seen a couple players do that. I mean, they've done a great job of developing these guys. And so we could see maybe one of them really kind of step up and be a bright spot for that team. You get the number 7 pick, which means you can get a pretty quality player for the future. Toronto's done a fantastic job drafting players, and you get a 2022 second round pick. You're getting rid of a guy that's disgruntled, that doesn't want to be a part of the team, and you're getting a bunch of, potential pieces for the future. 22-year-old in Little, and then a 20-year-old in Johnson. So they're still so young and so much potential. But moving on, we have Rudy Gobert, right? The Utah Jazz. That is the next trade that was proposed because Rudy Gobert, it makes a ton of sense. Utah, they need to do something, right? They need to shake it up somehow, some way. And Utah isn't going to trade Donovan Mitchell. That's their piece. That's their guy. That's the guy they want to build the team around and make a contender. So the proposed deal was OG Anunoby, Gary Trent Jr., a 2023 first-round pick swap, and a 2024 first-round pick for Rudy Gobert. So they get a huge, defensive center. I'm not big on this trade for the Toronto Raptors because, yeah, you're giving up OG. You're giving up the first round pick swap and then 2024 first round pick. I don't think that that's a big deal, especially if you're trying to really, start contending. Rudy is a player that the Toronto Raptors have loved and that they've wanted to be their defensive anchor for some time, according to reports. He's a guy that they've supposedly have tried to get on several occasions. Well, now Utah's a lot more open to it, right? Utah is a lot more likely to be in the position to say, okay, yeah, we'll take that. Yeah, same thought process. You're getting OG along with, Donovan Mitchell. Same argument that I made for Damian Lillard. But the reason I don't like this trade is because, yeah, Rudy would be great on the Toronto Raptors. He would be, that defensive anchor down low. Toronto's got so many wings, so many size, so many guys that can switch and alternate. They would really make up for the issues that Rudy has, right? The big problem is that the Utah Jazz don't have any wing defenders. So they'll just go small. Rudy gets drawn out of the paint, and then he's ineffective. Or you're leaving guys wide open, just knocking down threes. But Toronto, they have so many big wings, so many guys that can switch and guard multiple positions and things like that, that really would benefit Rudy because you don't have to, now you can leave him in the game, right? You have wings that can make up for the lack of him being able to step out of the perimeter. The problem is who's your shooting? Yeah, have no real shooters now. Gary Trent Jr. was really your only main shooter, and you're getting rid of him. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, don't get me wrong, Rudy would be a great pickup for the Toronto Raptors. I just see a lot of issues, a lot of struggle scoring. Because he's not a guy you can dump the ball down to and he's going to go get you 2 points. He's a setup guy. He's a guy that needs setup. Also, Utah had a lot of issues with him wanting shots, right? He wanted the ball. He was unhappy that he only took 3 shots and one of the playoff games, and he demanded, to get more. So then all of a sudden, Donovan Mitchell's trying to force feed him and stuff, and he's not the guy that you can dump the ball down to, and he's going to go get you an easy 2 points. You have to set him up. Got to put him in the dunker spot, things like that. So I do think there are a lot of benefits for Toronto. I just think Toronto, they would have to get some really, really good shooters, right? You got to go get some 40+% guys to fill around, which is not very easy, right? Especially in today's league where the 3-point shot is so prominent. I mean, all the teams we're seeing be successful in the playoffs are all the teams that hit the most threes throughout the season. So again, our game is clearly moving in that direction. But next up, the Phoenix Suns. We've talked about the Phoenix Suns a lot on this channel just because there's so much potential. They really underperformed. There's so much concern about what is going to happen. Was this their real last chance? All right, that's the big talk. Was this the Suns' chance? Because it did. It felt like this was Phoenix's chance, and they blew it. And then Ayton, that whole issue, that whole problem, it looks like they're just going to let him walk. Yeah, they could match his salary, sign and trade, something along those lines. And so that was what the other proposed deal was, a sign and trade. OG Anunoby, Chris Boucher, a 2023 first-round pick swap, and a 2024 first-round pick for DeAndre Ayton. So this, I think, makes a lot more sense than the Rudy trade. Yeah, you're giving up, Boucher, who's been great for the Toronto Raptors, but he's not Ayton. Ayton has so much upside, so much potential. He's already a 2010 guy. He's a guy that, you can dump the ball down to, and he can go get you an easy bucket or 2. OG would be huge for the Suns. It gives them another sort of, Mikal Bridges style player, a guy that can guard multiple positions, a guy that can really, be efficient, a guy that can, knock down and get you 17 to 20 a game. Stuff like that, I think is really big for them. And the big issue the Suns had were that lack of defensive 3-and-D guys. They didn't have bodies to throw at guys like Ingram or, Luka. And so going and picking up an OG really gives you that potential of a guy, of just another body that can defend some of these, bigger wings in the Western Conference. And so I feel like, you're giving up Ayton, who it's not a loss for you, right? Phoenix, I think, is the huge winner in this trade because you're probably going to let him go anyway. You're probably just going to say, okay, hey, take care. But I mean, even without Boucher, I would do this deal if I'm Phoenix because, like I said, you're going to get rid of Ayton either way. He didn't even want to play. He quit on the team in Game 7. There was all the drama going on behind the scenes. Phoenix doesn't want to extend him. So it's like, what are you losing? Like, trade OG, go get Ayton, and then you're in a good spot, and then everybody wins. Everyone's happy. The Toronto Raptors got, like I said, a 2010 guy. He's young. He's just getting his feet wet. He puts you in a great position. Moving on. So the Minnesota Timberwolves trade for OG Anunoby, and the proposed deal is OG Anunoby for Naz Reid, Malik Beasley, and the number 19 pick in the 2022 draft. Now, I don't think Toronto would do this. I don't think this is a trade that really benefits Toronto. Naz Reid was really good for the Timberwolves. I'm not trying to take anything away from him. Malik Beasley, he's another really good player, and the number 19 pick. You got some quality pieces. I'm not saying you're not getting quality pieces. And it would be a huge upgrade for the Minnesota Timberwolves, who were really solid. I mean, Edwards is looking like a guy that may be a bona fide superstar. He looked like he was ready for the spotlight, ready for the shine. They still got to figure out what are you going to do with D'Angelo Russell. He's an expiring contract. Maybe they could trade him as well, go get some other pieces, or maybe you run it back. You got Towns. You got, Patrick Beverley. You got a guy, if you do make this trade, in OG, who is a great wing for this team. Is a guy that could really just really help benefit you in so many ways. Another guy that can go get you 17 to 20 a game. I mean, you're talking about a potential starting lineup of Russell, Edwards, Anunoby, and then Vanderbilt, as well as Towns. Like, that's a really good starting five. That's solid. You got your defensive guys. You got your offensive guys. You got your superstars. You got everything you need for success. It's a young team. They can kind of build together over the next several years. You're losing Naz Reid, but it's really a role player. Malik Beasley, again, just a role player, and the number 19 pick. I think it makes all the sense in the world for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I just don't know, I don't know why Toronto would do this. I just feel like there's much better trades and much better deals that could potentially be out there. I mean, obviously, if nothing really comes to light, maybe the Timberwolves throw in another pick next year in 2023 or something like that, 2024, like some pick swap or something like that. Maybe it could kind of get some enticement. But I think for the Timberwolves, it is an absolute great pickup. I think that this would really, you're adding another young, big defensive wing that can shoot the ball, that can score the ball, create his own shot, things like that. And you're giving up essentially guys that are your 7th, 8th, 9th guys off the bench, and the number 19th pick in a draft that many people don't think is going to be very deep. Many people think, outside of the top 3, maybe top 4, you're just grasping at straws at that point, and hoping that you get the good one. So I'm curious to see if something like this would ever develop. I don't buy this one. But the last proposed trade, which is the one that I think could really happen. It's one that I haven't seen thrown out there. This is the pick that I was saying. I didn't think that. I think it makes a ton of sense, right? So you have the Golden State Warriors. And the Golden State Warriors, as we know, are in the NBA Finals right now. And you have these 5 who are just ridiculous, right? So the thinking and logic is, let's say you win the championship this year, which I think is a huge possibility, right? It doesn't hurt to have another big wing that can go get you 17, another Andrew Wiggins style player. And we saw how great Andrew Wiggins has been for the Warriors during this playoff run. Jordan Poole, he's a guy that has been more than willing to come off the bench. He has no problem coming off the bench. There seems to be no complaints, no issues there. Granted, everything could change if they win the championship. Maybe he kind of wants a bigger role. He's like, hey, I sacrificed this year. I need you to, give me a better opportunity. But especially if Poole is willing to come off the bench, I think you go after him. I really do. And I mean, the beauty of the Golden State Warriors is they have the assets to go get somebody like an OG. I mean, you could trade Wiseman, right? You could trade, Kuminga. You could give up a draft pick, whatever you need to make it happen. I think this would be huge. Wiseman didn't even play all year. So it's not like there's much loss there. Obviously, the hope is that Wiseman turns out to be a really good quality center. But I mean, even if you're just doing something along the lines of like, say, Wiseman and Anderson, or Wiseman and Kuminga. Yeah, you're giving up Kuminga. Kuminga has a ton of potential. I could see why Toronto would want to get something like that. Go and get a Kuminga. You got to throw in probably a bigger piece. But ultimately, the Warriors have what they need to get that done. If they wanted to make it happen, maybe a Kevin Looney, Kuminga and Wiseman for a draft pick and OG, or maybe you can go and get a Boucher for something along that, some sort of package. And you get a big man that can step out, that can play defense, that can block shots. I just think the Warriors, it's such an amazing situation. And believe me, I'm not a Warriors fan. I'm a Laker fan. But credit where credit's due. I've always said I am a basketball fan before anything. And the Warriors are very likely going to win the title this year. And they have a lot of assets, young quality assets, draft picks, everything you need to go and make that thing happen. The beauty of the Golden State culture and all of that stuff is like the unselfishness, right? I mean, even Steph was coming off the bench and was the best sixth man in the league, right? So, I mean, the fact that they are willing to make those sacrifices for the team is so unique, so organic. And if you can convince, hey, Jordan Poole, we just won a championship, come off the bench next year, we'll go get OG. I mean, just think about it. You'd have Steph, Clay, OG, Wiggins, and Draymond. Like, come on. That's insane. And then Jordan Poole as your sixth man. A guy that could go get you 30 night in and night out. Like, I just think that, like, it would make all the sense in the world. It just benefits the Warriors. It makes a ton of sense for the Warriors to go get him. We saw, again, what Andrew Wiggins was able to do with the Warriors in this playoff run. They had all the big bodies, they had all the big wings, they had all the defenders to make things difficult. And you're just adding another one of those, and a guy that can go get you buckets. He can leave several plays. He can play multiple positions, things like that. I just think that there's a lot of benefit for the Warriors to go and try to get an OG. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What do you think about the potential of OG wanting out and potentially wanting to be traded, and if the Toronto Raptors will actually trade him? Is there a team you'd really like to see him on? Is there a trade package or a trade deal that you have in mind that would make a ton of sense? What did you think of these trades? Like I said, outside of the Golden State Warriors one, none of the other trades are mine. They're just ones that have been on the internet. Bleacher Report talked about it. Several other articles talked about it. So it's the Warriors one was the one that I thought, like, I was shocked that I didn't see the Warriors on that, because it's like the Warriors have the assets to go get him without having to give up their key components, right? And so I think it makes so much sense, or even just to go get him, to trade him for another piece or something, I don't know. It's just something that's interesting. But, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below of what you think is going to happen. What kind of team would you like to see him go to? And, what do you think about the Warriors? Do you think that's a possibility? That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things sports. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.